This is about a larger systemic change about the kind of system we operate in.
I believe that this is the moment that we need democracy more than ever.
We need more people of all types of backgrounds to step up and offer their expertise to solve the challenges in each of our communities.
Let's do what we know to be the right thing and be true to that inner voice. I didn't ask to be treated differently, but I'm going to take it on because I have a job to do and nothing's going to get in my way of doing that.
Go get yourself a political home. You know, Vote and Lead would love to be that home. Black Voters Matter would love to be that home for you.
Thank you for your support. Thank you for leading and running as you are. And I have your back.
Thank you. Thank you to Vote, Run, Lead for the opportunity to participate directly in our work. Serving on this board is one of my greatest joys. Want to share a little bit of my personal story and then take us through an exercise of reimagining what's possible and really putting our minds in a place of creativity and well-being. I've lived in St. Louis for 12 years, and I've had the good fortune of primarily being directly involved with corporate philanthropy for large companies in St. Louis, like Save-A-Lot food stores, Anheuser, Busch, and Wells Fargo. And I remember the night that Michael Brown was killed, the news reports expressed that things were certainly getting bad. And I texted a good friend of mine, Michael McMillan, who is the leader of the National Urban League. And I said, based on what I'm seeing on TV, this feels different. What's going on? And he texted me back and said, Vanessa, this is different. And over the course of the next several months, as history unfolded and we were living history in that moment, there were times when I felt as a corporate executive for a large banking institution that I could be doing more. I will acknowledge that I did not ever directly participate in protest. And sometimes as a community, we have certain ideas around what it means to be an activist, what that looks like, how it looks to show up for community and fight for justice. But what I learned from this experience being really at ground zero in St. Louis is that courageous leadership has to happen everywhere. And our executive leaders, in addition to being concerned about the well-being and safety of our employees and our facilities, wanted to make a difference in the moment. And as part of the executive leadership team at Wells Fargo, I had several conversations, and some of the ideas for our response was, well, why don't we just give $10,000 to the United Way and be done with this? And I said, no, this is bigger than that. This moment is an opportunity for us to raise our hand, to make an investment, to be strategic. And I had to have some really tough and uncomfortable conversations with our leaders around how we should respond. And ultimately, we made strategic investments in local organizations that were on the front lines, as well as large organizations from varying dollar amounts. The two that I'm most proud of is that we made investments in Vote, Run, Lead and invited them to come to St. Louis. Next slide, please. Come to St. Louis to offer training for citizens and residents that wanted to be involved and engaged. Actually, next slide, please. There we go. Another investment that we made was in the Forward Through Ferguson organization that offered very clear direction on how we could meet this moment and move forward as a community. Lots of time, effort, energy, direct community engagement from people to imagine what our community could look like coming out of this experience. And next slide, please. This is an example of what's possible and why courageous leadership has to happen in all spaces. This was back in 2015. We did the national training for Vote Run Lead here in St. Louis, and several of our elected leaders are in this picture. And what I have since learned, not only from my serving as a senior leader in the St. Louis community, both in corporate spaces and in community spaces, is that we have to do this together, and we have to be consistent in terms of not just one training, but multiple trainings, not just one conversation, not just one tough conversation, but multiple conversations over time yields the change that we see, like Cori Busch winning the primary yesterday. And it gives us time to walk the talk and get the feedback and engage more people. So my encouragement is there are so many ways for us to be involved in change, in transformation. And there's enough room and enough seats at the table for us to bring our unique gifts and skills to the places and spaces. So don't limit yourself to thinking I only have to be involved in one way to be effective. There are lots of ways that can fuel change that we need in our communities. So what I like to do now is engage us in an activity. I work at a college, actually a pretty big university, Washington University. So the best courses are those that are interactive, and that's one of the things that we do well at Vote Run Lead. So I want to start with a couple of questions, and if you will join me, for those who like to close your eyes when you imagine. I'm one that likes to close my eyes when I'm imagining and going to a place, but feel free to keep them open and just look at the screen and look at us and all of our beautiful faces. The first question that I'd ask for us to consider as we reimagine what's possible when we think of rule of law and what's important to us, think of a time and an environment in your life at any point where you have felt safe. Really take yourself there and feel and experience the environment of safety. Who's around you, who's with you, what's happening. And I offer that as humans, we all want to feel safe. Now think about a time, an environment where you have felt welcome. I do believe that there's a distinct experience and feeling when you feel safe and welcome. Now take a moment and holding this image and feeling, think of a time in an environment where you have not felt safe and where you've not felt welcome. What's different about that? What's happening? And what I offer is, as a community, there are members in our community that don't feel safe nor welcome in their own homes, in their own neighborhoods, every single day. And as leaders who want to transform our communities and think differently about our democracy, I ask that we frame our narratives and engage in dialogues and ultimately make decisions based on our individual sense of safety and belonging, but also our collective sense of safety and belonging. That is what equity starts to look like. The same in practice, the same feeling and privileges, responsibilities, and rights that I enjoy in my environment that allow me to feel both safe and welcome. How do we create that for everyone in our community. And sometimes it feels like our dialogues and narratives are just focused on the safety aspect of governance, of policing. How do we as women leaders bring back and center welcome and belonging? So thank you for giving me time to share and engage in this reimagining activity, and enjoy the rest of our conversation.
Right.